Hey, vinyl community people and all my music loving friends, it's Mike, MGK Boston. Today I'm going to enter a contest. So it's a guy named Jimmy Barnes, not the Jimmy Barnes, the Australian singer. This is just a guy over in the UK. He's having a push to 2,000 subscribers. Wow, that's impressive. And I'm just very new to his channel. I've only watched 2 of his videos, including the contest rules, if you will, and looks like his favorite band is New Order, so we would share some tastes, definitely from the 80s, from what I gather from his channel. And if you've watched my channel, you know that's kind of my core during my formative years, high school and university. That's what I was into, and still am to a certain degree. But anyway, so he's got, I think it's 5 questions here. I'm going to go through them. The one thing, Jimmy, when you watch the video, he wants you to subscribe to his channel, obviously, and he wants you to validate that or prove that you've done that. I keep my subscription settings on private. So I will, I've joined your Facebook group, Jimmy. I will send you a photo, a screenshot, whatever you want to call it, validating that I've subscribed, and you have to take my word for it. Without further ado, this is going to be my contest entry, and he's calling it JB2K, acronym for Jimmy Barnes 2000, right? So it's pretty simple, standard contest fare here. So the first question is, you have to show a release by a band or a solo performer prior to the year 2000 and then after. So I guess the rationale there is, a lot of the real classic rock stuff would be gone, so you're leaning toward more current talent. But the band I've chosen is a band called the Mavericks, originally from Miami Beach area, fronted by Raul Malo, Cuban-American guy. Definitely heavy Latino influence. They're pigeonholed into the country scene because they eventually settled in Nashville. But I would say they lean more towards kind of a Los Lobos, that kind of frame or style, whatever you want to call it. Raul Malo, the lead singer, he's really, really, really a great vocalist. Probably one of my favorite vocalists these days. And this release is a live one. They came on the scene around 1991, their debut. This is a live album from 1997. As you can see, it's live right there on the cover. So great band. This features some of their early bigger hits, like All You Ever Do Is Bring Me Down. There Goes My Heart. That's a great one too. And What a Crying Shame. Excellent. Like I said, they're not really country. I would say even on a song like What a Crying Shame, Raul Malo almost sounds like Roy Orbison. He's got that kind of tonality in his voice. On the inside here, just some liner notes, and then on the back here, another shot of the band and the track listing on the inside. Kind of nicely packaged CD. None of this stuff is available on vinyl, only on compact disc. And I bought this back when it came out. Somehow seeing them live has eluded me, and then we had the pandemic. I was watching, they were doing a lot of stuff in quarantine. They actually released an album called Quarantunes. It's on my Christmas list. So Patty, my wife, if you're watching this video, you write that down. So this is from 1997. So now we're going to span into the next millennium. This was fairly recent, actually. This is 2020. This came out, the year that we all know and love. This is the Mavericks en Espanol. So as I said, Raul Malo, Cuban-American heritage. Of course, fluent in Spanish. This whole album is sung in Spanish. Don't let that deter you. It's really, really wonderful, and his voice is great. The language thing, if you don't know Spanish, which I don't, I'm pretty good with French, being originally from Canada, but it's just terrific music, and he's such a great singer. La Citiera is a traditional. He makes it sound like he wrote it himself. That opens the record, and there's actually a really good original video for that. If you're not familiar with this band, look it up. So at this point, the Mavericks, they had expanded the lineup. I want to say they were a 7-piece band at this point. Added a different percussion section. There's an accordion player. It's great. This has a few special guests on it too. No one here that you would know. But you can see this is a beautiful gatefold sleeve. I got this actually last year as a Christmas gift from my wife. Yeah, so some of the other highlights on this, I'm going to butcher it if I try to pronounce it. Mi Olvide de Viver. Strange stroke of irony in this one. My parents in the 80s were big fans of Julio Iglesias, and he actually, I think, wrote that and did the original. It came to mind when I was first listening to this when I got this last December, and I looked it up, and sure enough, yeah, there was the Julio Iglesias version, and it's actually a very good one. As cheesy as Julio Iglesias is, that's a beautiful song. Again, Mi Olvide de Vivir, and yeah, it's just a really excellent record. Sabor a Mi is another good one on here, but yeah, this is on that 180 gram vinyl, and again, it's a double album, beautifully packaged. You can hear it, see it's just all lyrics. And they're on an indie label. It's called Mono Mundo, I believe the name of that. So yeah, beautifully packaged. Again, the Mavericks. Release date on that one, again, like I said, 2020. So there's my first question, Jimmy Barnes. The Mavericks en Espanol, 2020, the release date on that one. So the second question is, show a band's second album. So I have, being a completist on a number of bands, I could have picked anybody, but I want to, like I do in all my videos, I like to show a variety of genres or styles. And this is the Blues Project. This is their second release. I want to say the release date on this one, yes, 1966. And of course, Al Cooper, one of the founding members of this band, there he is on keyboards. And Danny Kalb was the other founding member. The two guys formed the band together. And there they are on the back. They're part of the whole Greenwich Village psychedelic folk scene. These guys are definitely psychedelic blues. They're not a folk act. It might feel like that at points, but the guitars kick in and it's all electric. So yeah, look at that cover. If that doesn't scream 1966, what does, right? So anything really with Al Cooper, I'm a big fan of. I've got a bunch of stuff. Of course, he was one of the founding members of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, only on that first album. But yeah, so Al Cooper, brilliant player. Of course, he played on Like a Rolling Stone too. He was a session guy. He played on that track with Bob Dylan. That was kind of broke him into, got him some fame. And then later on, and of course, a project like this, and he was still a young guy when this put together the Blues Project with Danny Kalb. So anyway, this was their second album. It's really great. If you like psychedelic blues, can't recommend this enough. This is, of course, a used copy I have here, but it's in excellent condition, plays great. So that is an example of a band's second album. And what the hell, since I was in this section, there's their debut. It was recorded live at Cafe Au Go-Go. That was a club in Greenwich Village in New York City. And followed by the Blues Project, another one live at Town Hall. This was probably, 1967. The 5 members of the Blues Project are creating a distinctive and sometimes almost mesmeric style. This is one group that will continue, I expect, to surprise both us and themselves. Unfortunately, that isn't how it transpired, because they did one more album after this, and the original membership broke up. But like I said, Al Cooper went on, Blood, Sweat, and Tears, among other projects. And this was their final here. Different members even on this. I think at this point, Al Cooper was out. Yeah, he's definitely not on this. And Danny Kalb was out too. So it's just other guys that joined in, kind of a jam here. It's okay, but it's funny. I've worked in manufacturing, supply chain, my whole professional career. And the title of this album is actually a term widely used in manufacturing, planned obsolescence, when a product is winding down and going to be replaced with another one, new and improved, if you will. It's called planned obsolescence, and this was really the obsolescence of the Blues Project. So yeah, sorry, Jimmy, I expanded on that a bit, but I like talking about Al Cooper, and that's all really good stuff. If anybody watching this video likes psychedelic, definitely check that out. It's Psych Blues, if you will. Here we are, show an album by a duo. So being originally from Canada, anybody that watches my videos already knows that. I thought this is pretty funny. It's actually seasonal, because we're heading into the holiday season. I bought this, I was probably in 8th grade when it came out. 1981, the release date on this one. This is a comedy album. If you're not familiar, my friends are watching this outside of Canada, North America. People knew this in the States to a certain degree. They were part of the Second City TV comedy troupe, Bob and Doug McKenzie. And yeah, again, there is a bit of singing on this, but for the most part, it's just skits. So when I say there's singing on this, there was actually a charting single on this, and it was called Take Off. That's just a polite way of saying, without saying F off. It was a Canadian phrase. And there is Geddy Lee right there from Rush. He sang on Take Off, and it's him going back and forth with Bob and Doug, and it's actually a really funny song. I've heard it a million times, but usually once a year I'll throw this on, and this is that time. There they are drinking a couple of Stubbies, probably some Labatt's or Molson. That's most popular beers up in the homeland. So there they are, Bob and Doug. Some of the other funny ones on here, there's a skit on here called The Beer Hunter, where they play like a Russian roulette, but they take a 6-pack of beer and they shake up 5 of the cans. Or one of the cans is shaken up, and they got to drink the beers, and they get the one that's all shook up, and it explodes. Smarter than playing with guns, playing with beers. I'll say that. If you're doing Russian roulette, do it with beers. So here you can say on the back, "G'day, you hosers." There it is. So there's an example of a duet album, and it's a comedy album. I have no other comedy albums than this one actually in my entire collection. And I've just kept this all these years just out of nostalgia, because it brings back memories when I was young, and I found this pretty amusing, and it still really is. Again, definitely, that was Patty sneezing in the other room in the background, if you didn't catch that. So anyway, yeah, example of a duo, and that's Bob and Doug McKenzie. Of course, the Great White North. There it is. There's Canada on the top. So lastly, show an example of something that you have 2 copies in your collection. It's a band called Shriekback, 80s alternative. I don't know how else to describe them, although they did have a horn section in here too. This was their 3rd album. The one prior to this is really good too. I also have that. It's called Oil and Gold. And then the one after this is called Go Bang. At that point, I checked out on Shriekback, but I guess they're still sort of recording. Don't know if it's the original lineup. But I had checked out at that point after the follow-up to this, again, called Go Bang. So this is, again, Shriekback Big Night Music. Not sure the release on this one. I want to say 1996. There's the band on the back, down the side. This is a totally different record, actually, than Oil and Gold. Nemesis was a big single on Oil and Gold. The reason I thought of Shriekback is one of the channels I follow, Embryonic Robot, Brian, he showed a 12-inch single for Shriekback recently, and it was from the Oil and Gold album, I think. So it got me thinking about these guys, and haven't thought about them in a while, but they were good on the first couple of records. So this one, like I say, it's different than Oil and Gold in that it's kind of slowed down, and it is like big night music. It's kind of like if you're having a mellow big night, this is a good record. So Gunning for the Buddha was a single from this one. That's probably the big one on here. But it kicks off with a song called Blacklight Trap. It's just got these really good atmospheric vibe behind it. I don't know how else to describe it. Then you got the horns thrown in, but it's not like aggressive horns. It's kind of chill. Pretty Little Things. Side 2, there's a great song called The Underwater Boys too. I recommend that. So let's see what's on the inside here, if anything. No. But a little glare that they're on the Island record label. So that is an example. Oh wait, I have to show the other. I'm doing here, jumping around, so I have 2. So at the time, I would have bought this when it came out, and then compact discs were coming onto the scene. Like I was in my late teens, and I started buying compact discs like nobody's business. And I'm sitting on around 700 CDs. I've never sold my compact discs, and I won't. But apparently they're making a bit of a comeback, just like records are. I'm in a really good collectors group on Facebook called Compact Disc Collectors Cave. Compact Disc Collectors Cave, if you want to look up that group. It's a very, very good group, kind of like Vinyl Community, Facebook. It's very similar. So this is an example, Jimmy, of something that I have in duplicate, and that's Shriekback Big Night Music. So that's going to close out my entry to this contest. Please check it out. It's JB2K, Jimmy Barnes, pushed to 2,000 subscribers. I wish him well. I have very little doubt he'll get there. I think he's almost there if he's not already surpassed that goal. So yeah, and I'm also having a contest too. It's ongoing till January 7th. I'm trying to get to 400 subscribers, but like I said, I'm only going to do one contest. That's it. It's a lot of fun, but mine is unique. So please check it out. And I wish you well, Jimmy. Happy holidays, and I hope you enjoy the video.